I've heard people say, something must be wrong with Halle Berry. She can't keep a man. Who's to say I want to keep a man? I don't want to keep the wrong man.
If one were to choose a star that best represented the difficulty, if not flat out toxicity of modern dating in the West, it would be very difficult to find someone that better represents that than Halle Berry. She's had baseball players and Hollywood starlets and singers all fall in love with her, and yet none of them worked. And be it from her own mouth, she can't keep a man simply because there aren't that many of us.
I've heard people say, something must be wrong with Halle Berry. She can't keep a man. Who's to say I want to keep a man? I don't want to keep the wrong man. Like, I'm not crazy.
No.
Right?
No.
So when you find that you make a mistake, we all make mistakes. We have a right to say, oh God, this was a mistake. Let me start again. We have a right to do that.
You would not be complaining about the male's behavior if you liked them, because that's how males behave. That's who men are, sweetie. You wouldn't be going into relationships with men trying to change them if you actually liked men. You would accept them for what they're showing you.
In 2025, it's almost as if things are in a upside down kind of a fashion, because you're hearing the truth in places that maybe you never would have expected to hear it from. And you're hearing the truth from Priscilla here. She's telling young women, if you don't like how men are, then maybe you should follow her leadership because she has something else in plan for you. Now, that said, whatever her motives are, she's right. Guys are a certain way. We don't act like women, which she's going to explain here.
But you don't want to accept them for that. You want to force them to be women. You want to force them to be compassionate. You want to force them to do things that they are neurologically incapable of doing. But you don't want to be with a woman.
I might have to be done being a lesbian. I'm going through an amicable, healthy lesbian heartbreak, and I'm still aging like the president. I didn't have these gray hairs when I was straight.
Hey, no disrespect, but what are women that with no kids, or at least one, right? Y'all go over to the straight territory, and then y'all come over here, y'all come over to the lesbian side by the time y'all got 6, 7 kids, man. Why y'all don't start with us and finish with them?
I don't know which one of y'all straight women need to hear this, but just because you're sick of men, don't start dating studs. They're worse, they cheat better, they lie better. It is horrible. We hate it here.
So I just got stood up on a date by this girl that I met on Hinge. We were supposed to go for coffee, and I was like waiting there for 15 minutes, and then 30. And then I decided to text her. It goes green. So then I call her, and that's when I realized she blocked me.
Of course, I have no issue with young ladies choosing whom they would like to have a relationship with. We're all free to do as we please. But you can hear in this video that no matter where these young ladies are going, they're finding difficulty. A sure sign that no matter what kind of relationship you are in modern day times, it's just not very easy to find love in the West.
We need to talk about domestic violence in lesbian relationships. It needs to stop. It happens for a number of reasons. A huge reason is insecurity, lack of trust, a history of abuse yourself. But no matter the reason, it's not okay. It's not okay to insult your partner, to be hypercritical of your partner, to put your hands on your partner, to financially abuse your partner, to threaten to out your partner.
Some guy on Twitter was like, women are the meanest they've been in quite some time. And I think like we could be meaner. We should be meaner.
Love is misery. Love is miserable. I think I'll be a bachelor and I'll swing and I won't fall in love. I'll just be loveful, be kind and good and have fun. I don't feel like being miserable.
Marriage.
Miserable. Miserable.
What's a secret that you never told your ex?
I never liked him in the first place. And I said yes to dating him for pity.
It's hard to imagine that someone like Marvin Gaye in the 70s, maybe one of the hottest bachelors to ever exist in the history of mankind, still lamented of love and marriage. And fast forward to this young lady's reaction to being surrounded by young ladies, laughing at another young lady basically saying, I dated a guy out of pity and I never really loved him. Her face suggests that something is really, really wrong with this. Maybe she can't pinpoint it, but just looking at the shocked look on her face, she knows that this isn't right. That something is really off here. That we should not be laughing at this.
Love is misery. Love is miserable.
Marriage.
Miserable.
To each his own, of course, and I'm sure that there are some men that will tell you that happiness is walking down the streets of Pattaya surrounded by scantily clad, beautiful women who are grabbing onto your arms, trying to lead you into massage parlors or otherwise. But there is another definition of happiness that I think that most passport bros, SYSBM, heck, just black men are looking for. And this is what it really looks like to find happiness. In my opinion, every so often, it's important for us to be honest with ourselves and be clear about what we're really looking for. Many guys say that they're looking for young ladies to have relationships with and have a good time with, but deep down in our hearts, what we really want is a wife that's going to be happy to see us and children that are going to greet us at the door after a long day's worth of work. Now, if you talk about this in the West, you're going to hear words like oppression and he's trying to control you and you want to lock her down and take her joy. But at the purest of purest hearts, this is just a man that's happy to see his family and a family that's happy to see their father. And it's very easy in listening to the media that we have in the West to think that this kind of dream, this idea is asking too much. But it's the simplest of joys. It is the joy of having a family that cares about you and a family to care about. And it's unfortunate that when we see stars like Halle Berry say basically that she can't find the guy and it's okay to start over, what she's really saying is having the permanence of a family is not really all that important. A point that's reiterated in almost all of the media that we see on social media in the West these days. And unfortunately, these ideas are spreading very quickly. But just remind yourself in the midst of all of this quote unquote toxicity that at the end of all of it is nothing wrong with wanting to have a family, a wife and kids, be happy to see you, and to spend your evenings surrounded by people that love you, that care about you. Because otherwise, what's the point of making all this money and doing all this stuff in the first place? Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, comment below. I'll catch you next video. Take care, guys.